Hey, it's Matt from the Rookie's Guide. Today I'll be showing you 5 strategies to increase profits on paver patio construction, make worksite revitalization, things such as turf repair, general cleanup, etc., much easier, and reduce the construction time by as much as 10% or more. But first, here's my question for you. Are you installing paver patios as part of your landscape business? If you aren't, take a look at what you are missing. So here is what you could be bringing in if you were installing patios. We'll take a look at this example here on the right with a circular patio and a walkway that we completed last year. 350 square feet. The total income for the job was $6,345, which comes to a price of about $18 per square foot. The material costs were $1,502 with sales tax. These numbers are all rounded just to make the math a little bit easier. And your paver material is generally going to be about 20 to 25 something percent, 28 sometimes, depending on the brand and style that you're using, and of course the job site and what it entails. The bulk material used, which is your base material, your bedding sand, play sand, wash sand, whatever you want to call it, and then sod and black dirt, was all about $200, 3.2% of the gross. Then the finishing material, snap edging, polymeric sand, $270, 4.3%. Truck and equipment fuel, about $95 there. The overhead that was incurred, $150 each day, times up by 2, $300. The direct labor was $2,700. Again, these numbers are rounded, but 42.5%. More often than not, your direct labor will be the highest cost when it comes to completing jobs. And then $50 in dump fees from the excavation process. So total expenses were $5,117 or 81.4%. And with our income of $6,345, take away $5,117 of that, equals $1,228 or 18.6% net profit margin on this job. And then we'll go over to a larger patio, which was a little bit more simple of a design. So the cost per square foot was a bit less, but it was a 2-day job, 10 hours each day with a 4-person crew. Paver material was $2,145, 26.8%. Bulk material, $300. Finishing material, $430. Truck and equipment fuel, about $95 again. These can vary depending on how far away the job is from your shop, home base, whatever you want to call it. The overhead that was incurred for this crew was $300 for the 2 days, and the direct labor, $3,200, a little bit more money with an extra guy, but they were able to get a larger area done in the same amount of time as this job here was done with a smaller sized patio. So then another $100 in dump fees, a little bit more material to haul out, and then the total expense is $6,570, and take that away from the income of $8,000 and you get a net profit of $1,430 with a little bit less margin. However, with a larger job, usually the margin will drop a little bit because we're able to have more guys on site and spend less time driving to different jobs and having to find different jobs. So generally, the larger the job, the smaller the margin will be. Usually, if it's something that's really skilled that has a lot of cuts with a very complicated design, you definitely need to charge more for that because your labor is going to be there a lot longer than they would be if it's just a typical design with a soldier course and easy cuts. If there are a lot of technical aspects to the job, such as very little equipment access, or really tons of different factors go into pricing a patio because there can be so many different things that can change how long it'll take and how efficient the job can get done. So if you see here, right there, these 2 jobs that were done in 4 complete days, that's about $2,700 in profit that you would be missing out on if you are not installing patios with your landscape business. And the nice thing about this is if you are still working in the field, if you're still in the startup stage, you don't have a crew out there doing the work, some of this direct labor here and here will be reduced, and more of that will go into your pocket since you are out in the field being actively working. These figures here show a foreman and 2 or 3 crew members working with that foreman. One thing to take into account is if you were to start doing patios and you bring in a nice chunk of profit, say $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 in a week, one of the best things that you can do with that money is take that and invest it into advertising to grow the business more. Think how much more work you can generate with $5,000 of advertising, whether that's online or print advertising, whether it's postcards or door hangers, flyers, whatever it may be. $5,000 could definitely generate you, I would hope, at least $10,000 or $50,000 or even $100,000 more in revenue. And one last thing to cover with this, if you are brand new and just starting out, you can rent just about everything that you need to complete a paver patio. You do not have to go out and spend 50 grand on a truck, dump trailer, or a dump truck, skid loader, compactor, saw, all that. You can rent all the equipment that you need and still make a solid profit, and then take that money that you make from all the jobs you're doing and invest in the equipment that you use the most. If you're doing a lot of patios and retaining walls and things like that, you definitely will want to buy a compactor and a concrete saw, or 2 or even 3 of them, as soon as you have the money to do so, because that way you don't have to rent that equipment. And oftentimes it can be a big pain, because with a patio you need to use a compactor right away to compact the base, and then you do it again, usually maybe a day later, depending on how big the patio is, to compact the pavers before doing the polymeric sand to finish the job. And there is a sense of pride that you will have when you know that you've gone from literally nothing to a bunch of equipment and a bunch of jobs coming in and a solid business starting to grow. And one more thing to add, these customers from these patios will need to have their lawn and landscape maintained. So if you did an excellent job with the patio, maintenance services will be an easy sell, and you'll be able to add recurring revenue to your business. So after seeing the potential profits and the portfolio of clients who can be upsold for recurring services such as mowing, fertilizing, weed control, cleanups, and then patio maintenance and more, you need to be offering paver patio construction, period. So enough with that rant. Let's get into the efficiency strategies. Number 1, when marking your work areas, use a tape measure and string line to ensure your patio will be parallel and the lines are straight, shown in these pictures here. As you can see, we used a tape measure on the left side of this walkway, and you take your tape measure and measure the same distance at the end of the structure that you're going against, the middle, and at the other end, to ensure that the line is absolutely straight as you go. And you do the same thing against any other structure, whether it's a fence or another building or what have you. You also want to use marking paint to lay out the areas where you will be excavating for your patio, such as in this one before the digging even began, and sometimes you have to do it during the patio construction process to know exactly where your lines are for the patio to end. And now efficiency tip number 2. When marking pavers to be cut, assign one crew member to mark all the pavers using a paver pencil or a contractor's pencil and a trowel to ensure the cut line is straight, then write an X on the unneeded piece. As you can see here in this image, we are going along the edge of a walkway, and then right here along the soldier course to prepare for cuts. And then set them at the spot they'll be installed, as seen here. Then assign one crew member to make all the cuts. When both are working in synchronization, your team member that is marking cuts will get done marking right at the same time the other team member is done with cutting the paver, and then it can be placed in the space that it needs to go. Now for efficiency tip number 3, if you need more than 4 pallets of pavers for a project, or in other words, more than can be hauled in one trip with a dump truck or dump trailer, unless you have a large dump truck of course, have them delivered from your supplier, and make sure to have a skid loader on site so you can easily maneuver the pallets from the street to the work area, as shown in this image here. Usually your supplier will have a skid machine to remove the pallets from the trailer, and that way you can avoid any damage, and if they damage any of the pallets or material, it's on them instead of you. On to efficiency tip number 4. Use dead blow hammers to tap pavers into place when laying cut or end pieces, and tap from the outside pieces to tighten up the joints to ensure they are a uniform size. And here is a dead blow hammer if you are unsure of what they look like. They are most commonly used with retaining wall projects. And now our last efficiency strategy, number 5. If the turf has been damaged during patio construction, especially during the excavation portion of the project, use a sod cutter to slice the old turf away from where the skid loader tracks are. Then place black dirt and sod or seed in the area so your client can have a lush lawn after they spent thousands of dollars on a patio. So if you liked the training you just saw here on this video, please feel free to check us out at therookiesguide.com, where you can get more training like this, as well as check out our business startup packages for lawn service, landscaping, and snow removal businesses. And also be sure to subscribe to our channel for more content and follow us on Instagram and Facebook. See you in the next video.